Hi, I'm Lisa, and today I wanted to talk about sourdough starters. About 2 years ago, I got my first starter. I have bought starters off of Etsy and eBay and just had some amazing success with it. I have had the best French bread that I've probably had baked at home. I will do a video later as this is ready to use and show you my process of bread making. It is a longer process that I use. It's like a 2-day, 3-day thing, but it is my favorite and it makes the best bread that I've ever had. I will put some pictures in of loaves from the past. So let's start by just a few facts about sourdough starters that I found very interesting when I started using them. It's a natural fermentation process, so it's basically just flour and water, and you use a tiny bit of sugar at first, only the first day that you wake up your dry starter, and then you never use sugar again, until you're like making your bread if the recipe calls for it or anything like that. The starter is basically home to wild yeast and lactobacillus bacteria, which are great for your gut. These microbes are responsible for leavening the bread naturally without the need for any commercial yeast. Each sourdough starter will have a unique taste, which I also just found fascinating depending on where it started from. Everything from the air to the water you use to the flour you use to just that region gives the sourdough its very specific taste. So in other words, my sourdough that I make here, even the starter that came from California, which is the one I'm going to be showing you today, will probably have a slightly different flavor in California when it's used than here in Florida. The use of sourdough starters has a very ancient history. People have been using sourdough starters for thousands of years. The fermentation process makes it easier to digest in the gut. Again, it's that bacteria that grows in that fermentation process in getting a starter going and keeping a starter alive. So as far as preservation of your sourdough starter, once it wakens up, this one is on day 3 today, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But once you wake it up and you get it going and you're feeding it daily, you will end up with probably too much starter. So some people throw it away. I don't like to waste anything, so I keep it. I make crackers. I will show you how I do that in the future. It's very easy, and the crackers are absolutely delicious. They're like a very thin sourdough crunchy cracker, and I like to add rosemary, fresh rosemary from my garden, and sea salt to them, and they're just so delicious. You can also make pancakes with your excess starter, pizza dough. There's so many things that you can do with it. So a starter is a complex ecosystem of different bacteria, which I find just fascinating. With proper care, your starter can last indefinitely. Now, I can tell you I've had 2 starters go bad in the past, and I think that was because it actually got too warm. Both times it was after it was left in the fridge for storage because I wasn't going to feed it for a few weeks, like I was on vacation or going to work or something. And then when I came back and tried to waken it back up, it just was bad, like moldy and bad. And I don't know if it was like the humidity, the temperature. I live in Florida, so it could be any of those, but that's kind of unusual. I don't think that happens too often as far as what I've heard. So basically you can keep it going probably indefinitely. So as far as what I do to wake it up, and what's funny is I actually made this video 2 days ago when I woke up my starter and I forgot to turn my mic on. So major faux pas, and I am learning to use my microphone and make sure it's on. Let's see. So all you do is you put your starter, your dry starter, in a jar. This is how I do it. And you do a half cup of water, a half cup of flour. I do like to use 00 Caputo flour, which is straight from Italy. You can pretty much use any flour, but I get it in bulk off of eBay in just this huge, like 50-pound bag. So that's just what I prefer to use. And I use that same flour in my bread making and my pizza dough making. And basically when you stir it up, you want it to be like a thick pancake batter. So on day 1, it really doesn't do a lot. It just kind of sits. On day 2, you just stir it and then you leave it, don't touch it. You do want to keep it between about 60 and 70 degrees. You don't want it to get too warm where it might mold and go bad, and you don't want it too cold either. You want that perfect temperature range to really get that bacteria to wake up and grow and multiply. So day 3, you add another half cup of flour, half cup of water. I do use reverse osmosis water, and that's basically where we're at today. This is day 3. And I'm gonna show you, because I did take some video this morning. As soon as I stirred it and put the water in and the flour, it started really bubbling and waking up. So this one is definitely waking up very well. I have used this one in the past. I'm going to show you exactly which one it is in just a minute, but it made the best French bread. And about probably tomorrow or the next day, I'm really going to start seeing, once I mix it up and put that flour and water in, it's going to start really starting to rise. And there always comes a time where it overflows, even when I try to make sure it's not going to overflow, just because it's so active and it just starts multiplying and bubbling, and you know, it will just go everywhere. So that's why I always keep it on a plate. The starter tends to kind of turn like glue if it spills out and gets on your counter and stuff, so it's kind of hard to get off. So as far as the lid, I do use just one of these little plastic guys, and I leave it just cracked, and that's how I've always done it personally. But you can do like saran wrap or a towel, some people like to do. This is just how I do it. So as far as the different starters that I have bought and I have tried, some of these I've tried, some of them are brand new. So this one right here is Mom's 6-decade-old sourdough starter. And I love the story, because basically the mother has kept this alive for just decades and decades and decades, 6 decades to be exact. And the daughters now keep the starter alive and sell it in its dry form. So this is what it looks like in its dry form in a bag. And they give you quite a bit to get it going, and you use the whole thing when you get it going. As far as with this one, that's what the directions are. And they do give you their recipe, which is cool. In the past, every time I buy from them, they put just a really nice handwritten note. You know, it's just it's very nice how they sell it. So the next one that I found, and I've tried a few different of their starters in the past, and I absolutely love, is ZOURDOUGH.com. Sourdough with a Z, Sourdough. And they're also on Etsy and eBay. So the only one that I have tried so far a few times is the Beast, and then I've tried the Wharf once, and these are just extras, and I don't have any like going right now. I like to do 1 starter at a time. I used to do 2 starters, and it just was way too much, because I only was using 1 at a time, and it's just so prolific once it's awake that I just had way too much excess starter. So now I just stick with 1. So the Beast and the Wharf, this is what they look like from Sourdough in their little packages. And again, you use the whole thing to wake it up, and it's pretty much the same recipe to wake it up, and they give you directions and everything with theirs. So they are awesome. So here's another one that I haven't tried yet, but their packaging was really cute. I think I got it off of eBay or Etsy, I can't remember. And I do look forward to trying it, but I haven't yet. So I'll just kind of show you. Their packaging's like really nice. It's real professional looking. I love the cow, so cute. And again, it's the whole package, and you get it going and just keep it alive. So as far as, like, say I'm going on vacation, or I'm just done making bread and I don't want to make any more, you can save your starter in the fridge. Basically what you do is you save just a little bit off of your very active awake starter, and then you can refrigerate it. I put the, screw the lid on, I date it and everything, and then I just keep it in there until I'm ready to wake it up again. And then usually, from my experience, it wakes up pretty quickly after you take it back out, and you'll know it's awake because it's going to be bubbling like crazy. So anyhow, that is my little spiel on starters, sourdough starters, and why I love them so much. And I will post more videos as my starter grows and everything I do with it. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. Oh, and I am making this for Thanksgiving, so I'm really excited, because I'm hoping this will be perfectly awake enough by about Tuesday or Monday, so I can get my sourdough going.